Hi everyone, I'm Allie. Join me as I show you how to make these Bugle Bezel Crystal Earrings. They use 12mm rivolis, some bugles, and some beads. Check out the full list below the video in the description and you get links back to our site which has everything listed for you. Gather up your materials and let's get started. So to begin this bezel design, it's very simple. We're going to be working with some seed beads, some bugles, I have 15s, 11s, and 3mm bugles. And then if you want to, you can choose to decorate with 2mm pearls. You can also stop if you want to and keep it very, very simple as we're working with it. I have on 3 11-0s followed by 1 15-0, and I've repeated that pattern 4 times. I'm going to drop that down to the bottom of my size 6 dragon thread, and I'm working with a size 12 needle because we're going to be going back through our 15-0s. I'm going to tie a knot here, making this go into a loop. And then we're going to do a little right angle weave on the corners, pulling it so that we have on the sides here a trio of beads. Right after the knot, I'm going to go back through our 3 11s and come out after the 15-0. Coming out the 15-0, I want you to add 1, 2, 3 more 15-0s. Circle back through that 15-0 with your thread going into the opposite side that it's coming out of and go to the next corner. We're repeating this 4 times because we have 4 corners. And yes, I know it's a round design, but we need somewhere to start to hold in our beads. Once you have, or our rivoli rather, and the rivoli I'm using is a 12mm rivoli. If you want to use a 14, simply add 1 more seed bead, so making your count to 4 instead of 3 between. As you go around and do your corners then, you're going to get to the last corner. We're going to finish that up. 1, 2, 3 beads through that last corner. I'm also going through then the next 3 seed beads and coming out through that corner 15-0. I'm going to use this opportunity to step up, going through the side bead, bead number 1 from that first group of 3 that we added, and go through the top bead number 2. Here at the top, we're going to add another right angle unit, and we're going to connect it then with some bugles and some seed beads. Our right angle unit that we're adding is another collection of 15-0s. 1, 2, and 3 beads go on. We're going back through that 15 again from the opposite side, building this right angle unit. And as we build that right angle unit here, we're going to make sure that coming out the side then to connect, we are doing a 15 bugle, 15 bugle, 15. You're going to sew over then to the next corner unit here and through that top bead. After doing so, add 1, 2, and 3 15s. Back through the 15 your thread is currently coming out of. That puts that next row of right angle weave on top. And then again, 15, bugle, 15, bugle, 15. So start and ends with a 15 in the middle, and sew through the next top bead. Everything you're doing in a group of 4, since we have those 4 corners. Adding your next right angle unit then, once you get to the next bead. And then again, 15 and your 3mm bugles. From here, this connects that whole outer row. And I want to stop at this point too after showing you because it's really, really pretty just as is without adding any extra beads. It's kind of nice. You can stop along this design several places. And also, this is an earring, but think of it as a component. So you can link these together as you're working with them. As you finish the last one, you're going to go back through that bottom bead of the second right angle unit that was just added. Sew on through the bugle. See how it has that nice cornered look there? Sew through that top bead there. And we have finished our exterior or our interior design that our bead, our rivoli, is going to sit inside of. Now on the corners, we're going to do right angle weave again on the 4 corners here. 3 beads go on, and I'm going back through my 15-0 and then through the bugle, the 3 15s that line up right in the middle, and out through the next corner 15. When I'm out the next corner 15, that's where I'm going to go in. I'm going to once again add 1, 2, and 3 more 15s, circling around back through that bead that the thread is coming out of, and straight across to the other corner. What this does is this puts right angle units here that we're going to use to connect and bring our units towards the front to hold in our rivoli in the front. So after each one here, you're going straight across. It also makes it a little bit more stable, getting more thread passes in there. And you can do this with size 8 thread. It's just a little thick, and you risk that you might by accident break some of your seed beads, which you don't want. When I'm finished going around and adding my last one in, I want to come out after bead number 2, lining up in that set of 3. Bead number 2 is the bottom of the last right angle unit there that sits on top. And we're going to make it to that top right angle unit, going up the left-hand side here, and out the bead that sits at the top. And again, just look how pretty this design is. Almost like an Amish quilt square there that you could play around with and even do more with as well. We're going to get ready now to set our 12mm rivoli, bending in the tops of all of our right angle units. Connecting the beads that sit at the top, we're going to be using a 15, 11, 15 combo. And you're just going to travel the whole way around the outer edge here, going in and picking up that top or that outermost bead. Now we are going again from a square to a circle. It's going to seem a little weird at first, but as you get going here, you're going to see that circle starting to form. And by the time you get over to the space where you have about 2 left, that is where you're going to feel the need to put your rivoli in. After we add our rivoli, just like we do normally, we are going to be reinforcing. So we're going to be taking our thread and needle back through all of these beads that we're adding, as well as the bead that we're sewing through. You can see how that roundedness is really starting to occur. We're going to get ready again to set our rivoli in place. I always feel like it's magic when you pull that final strand and you get it nice and tight, and that rivoli starts to take its place and its shape. Right here again, I've got a little bit left to go. 1 left to go. I'm going to push the rivoli in and see how you pop it in. And again, it almost feels like that magical treat as you add in that last connection. Sewing that last connection point here, we're going to go back through what looks like 3 seed beads with an 11-0 in the interior, so opposite of our start. Pull nice and tight, and that brings that into a beautiful bezel. Now again, what we want to do is we want to reinforce going back through that entire inner circle. We're going to do the same thing along the back when we finish up, because at the front and the back of rivolis, cabochons, anything like that where you're doing a seed bead bezel, the very saddest thing is if your rivoli or your cabochon escapes from the netting or the peyote you've created. All right, once we have this entirety connected here with 2 passes through, we are going to downgrade. And by downgrade, what I mean is we're coming to the exterior of the design. And you can see, again, this is pretty as is. You could connect them together, top and bottom, so you have a bigger earring, or you can keep going and just creating and linking them together. What we're going to do is get to the front edge here, and we're going to be connecting to our 11-0s and doing a little bit of a peak. So I'm going to sew through, and what I want to do is kind of lock this in place. I'm sewing through this right angle unit, locking this in place so the thread's not kind of going anywhere. Oops, went through my bugle. I didn't want to. Just wanted to go through my 15. Once I'm through the 15, I'm coming up through the 15 along the side. So I'm going through that last right angle unit. And again, that just kind of locks the thread in for the bezel. I'm going to sew along the top then, and I'm coming out through an 11-0 right along the front. When I come out through the 11-0, the pattern is going to be 15, 2mm purl, 15. If you don't want the 2mm purl in there, going the whole way around, you don't have to. Go again then through that outer edge, and I want you to pop out at the next 11-0. When I pop out at the next 11-0, same thing, 15, purl, 15, circle back through that 11 that your thread is coming out of. You're going to do this a series of 8 times because we have 8 11-0s along the piece. Now that we have all of our little purl peaks in, if you want to, again, you can stop and just put the bail right along the back here of your right angle unit. You can also keep going with me to bring a little bit of that bugle look to the front. Going up through your 15 that you just added, nice tight pull, and out through the purl. When we're coming out through the purl, the combination is going to be 15 and then a bugle and a 15. You can change again this outer row to whatever you want as you're going along and connect. You can even skip a unit if you want to and just have 4 to keep it a little bit more squared. Lots and lots of options after you get that bezel in place. Around the outer edge here then, we're going to create that illusion of a completely round bezel. Again, adding in our 15, bugle 15, around that whole outer edge. After we're done this, we are going to add one more right angle unit to the back, and that's just going to be in order to hold our wire guard in place. We're also going to go ahead and reinforce that back line of thread. You can see here with the bugles on the outer edge, and then after doing so, we can add a little bit of 3 seed beads for a little bit more decor. After going around and sewing on all the bugle beads, you can see that I've already started going around and sewing 3 extra 11-0 seed beads around the purl, just to get it a nice finished design. Coming out through the 11-0 seed bead after the bugle, you add 3 beads, hop over the purl, and sew through the next 11 or 15 bugle 15. That then completes as you go around and add that outer row. From here, what we're going to do is we are going to add 1 right angle unit along the back, and I have my wire back there so it doesn't hang as low on the ear and stays kind of more up. You can also put your wire guard here at the top if you want to, but we are going to shift and get to that back. Coming out through one of the purls, we're going to go down through a 15, kind of bringing my needle toward the back after the 15 that my thread was coming out of there. And I'm going to go into the 11 that sits below it and work my way out the back along the right angle weave. So I'm coming out one of those points between the bugle beads. 1, 2, and 3 of my 11-0s get added. I go back through that 11-0 bugle that my thread was coming out of, creating a right angle unit. Step up through bead number 1 of the 11-0s, out bead number 2, and here's where we're going to add our wire guard. Wire guard, we're going to go up through the one side of the wire guard, down the other side of the wire guard, and we are going into that 11-0 that our thread is coming out of, again circling, going through the opposite side. Once we do that once, we're going to reinforce and do it again. As we come out then of the wire guard, we go back through the 11-0 seed bead that is there right afterwards. Oops, maybe. There we go. And then also we're going through that right angle weave, just to tighten that up a little bit. Going through the 11, through the 15, back through the 11 on the side, back through the connector 11. And now we're going towards the interior. We're going to go back down through again, through the 15 and the 11, through the bugle while we're there, down into the right angle weave, coming out through bead number 2, in towards the center. Oop, not getting your thread caught. In towards the center and back towards your original loop. Once you're back in towards that original loop, you're taking a turn around that original loop. And then after you go the whole way around that original loop, you're just going to take those 2 thread ends and simply tie them together. And that's it to finish up your earring. This has a lot of variations that you can do, but I like that simple netting that is done. This would even look really pretty with a cushion bead. You could use a 14 cushion and play off of that squared shape there. Once you're done, again, take your threads, bring them up, take your thread burner, burn down. Depending on the size of the thread is kind of how much thread I leave. This one with a thinner thread, I can take the thread down further before it becomes a nice knot there along the back that I don't have to worry about. Flipping this over then, what you're going to do to attach your ear wire is grab your plier, pull your ear wire, opening it to the side, put your wire guard on, and close it up. And that finishes out this beautiful pair of earrings. Thanks so much for joining me to create these Bugle Bezel Crystal Earrings. That's a hard one to say. Say it 3 times fast. The nice thing about these is you can kind of stop wherever you want to once you get that bezel made out of the bugles. Remember, if you need any materials, look below the video in the description line there. You can hit the show more button and you'll get links back to our site so you can gather up some of your supplies if you still need them. Remember, if you haven't yet, hit that little subscribe button and stay tuned for more videos here from us at Potomac Beads. Thanks everybody for watching. Bye.